I need to pop out the chat. Oh, how do I do that? Pop out chat. Hey everyone! Yay! I normally stream at nighttime in Australia, so I was so scared to start streaming and like no one will come and I would just be all by myself. Yeah, let me know where you guys are from in the chat. I'm from Australia. Lots of people from America, Nebraska, California, New York, Jersey, Phoenix, Charleston, I'm pretty sure is in America, Wisconsin, New York is 10 p.m. Oh, this is actually a pretty good time to stream then. For me, it's 11:30 a.m. in Sydney, Australia. New Zealand, Argentina, Brazil, Indonesia, Canada, Jakarta, Hong Kong. Ah, so cool. You guys are from everywhere. Guatemala, China, Brooklyn, Florida. Oh, I love Brooklyn. I went there a few years ago and it's such a beautiful city. I would love to do some photo shoots in Brooklyn because there were some amazing locations that I saw there while we were traveling. Early morning for India. Miami, New York, Chile, another Chile, Bali, Cleveland, three streets away. Hey, Kung. You inspire me so much. Oh, thank you. Florida. Oh, the Caribbean. Very cool. South Africa. Oh my gosh, I think we should stream at this time a little bit more often. I always end up streaming at like 10 p.m. Australia time, but I think this might be working out a little bit better. It's just so hard to decide what's a good time for everyone because there's always, you know, some people that are going to miss out on the live streams. I'm just going to share the live stream on Twitter. And today we're going to be culling some photos from a photo shoot that I did on the Sony a7 III. It was a really fun photo shoot. So you guys will get to see what a raw photo shoot looks like straight out of the camera. You'll see all the blurry photos that I take and all the blinking shots that I take as well. But I feel like it's kind of important to share those shots and not just share finished photos sometimes, because I feel like it can really help for you guys to see like what an entire photo shoot looks like. Philippines, 6:30 p.m. in California. Bangkok, Argentina. Just got my a7 III last month. Yeah, I feel like there's such a big back order on the Sony a7 III because I follow the Sony Alpha Reddit thread on Reddit. And yeah, a lot of people have pre-ordered their Sonys and they were just waiting for months to get it. France, Paris, 3:30 a.m. You should go to sleep. That's so late or early, depending how you look at it. All right. Just on Twitter. I'm live right now. Come and say hello. Amaze. Yeah, about 3 months wait for the Sony a7 III. I was really lucky because We were just calling around to stores in Sydney, and one of the stores happened to have it in stock when I wanted it. So we were able to just go into the store and buy it and get it straight away on the same day, which I think is really lucky. But do you know what? I wanted to hire some native lenses for the Sony the other day for a photo shoot. And I realized that there's only about like 4 or 5 stores where you can hire lenses here in Sydney, and none of them stock anything for Sony. The only Sony lenses that they have are manual focus, which I don't really like manual focusing, which was such a shame. So I ended up hiring the Sigma 85 instead. Let me just change my screen. So this is the photo shoot that we'll be going through. I shot this on the Sony a7 III and I hired the Sigma 85mm 1.4 art lens. And I was so impressed because I was using the Metabones 4 adapter with it, and it worked as if it was just a native lens. Like the focusing was so fast. It was way better than using Canon lenses adapted to Sony for sure. But yeah, we got like heaps of photos this day. It was just like a really simple test shoot. $6D Mark II or Sony a7 III. I haven't used the 6D Mark II, but it really depends like what you like shooting with and like what you personally prefer, because there are pros and cons for either of the cameras. I personally got the Sony a7 III so I could photograph in low light during weddings, because during the reception there's a lot of venues that like they don't really suit flash because they've got such ambience to them. We've got a lot of like barns and stuff that they turn into wedding reception venues, and I just felt like having natural light photos would suit that so much better. So that's why I got the a7 III, so I could photograph like the guest mingling and the speeches and the first dance and stuff like that, all with natural light, because it just looks so much better. Dan's outside, he's even closer than Kung. What do you think of the EOS R? I really want to try it out. I think it's really cool that so many more brands are jumping on to doing mirrorless, because this is really going to like push the industry and hopefully make it even better and maybe even cheaper, even though the Canon stuff doesn't seem like it's going to be that cheap. So anyway, that's the whole photo shoot. I tend to shoot so much when I'm using the Sony because it's such a fast camera. There's a lot of photos to go through, so I'm going to start selecting. I took some test shots of the flowers. I was sitting in my car and I just pointed the camera straight out the window to get these shots. And the program I'm using is Photo Mechanic. I love selecting my photos on this program because it's super fast. Like you just go through all the images and you don't have to wait for them to load, which is perfect. Which Lightroom are you using, 5 or 6? I have Lightroom Classic CC. I don't know. It's the latest one. I don't know. I use the Metabones 4 for the Sony. When you upgrade the firmware on the Metabones 4, it works the same as the 5. I'm also having coffee out of my New York mug from Starbucks. Anyone in America, can you tell me if they've changed the designs of these Starbucks mugs? I'm going to Colorado next week and I really want to get this same mug from Colorado, but I'm so scared that they've changed that they've changed the designs. I love how you make your tutorials easy for us and love hearing your voice accent. Oh, thank you so much. My Aussie accent. Can you recommend any prime lens for portraits? I'm going to get one at the end of the year. I know you're a big fan of 35, but how about 50 or 85? It depends like what kind of portraits you like to take. So I like to take photos where you can see more of the environment and that have a bit of like quirk to them, which is why I like to shoot with the 35. There's like a little bit of distortion in the images, and it is quite sharp with just that little bit of bokeh in the background. So for me, that's why I really like the 35. Then the 85 is more of like a traditional lens where you can get those really like dreamy kind of fantasy looking photos where like the person in your shot is tack sharp and the background's totally out. And then the 50 is like in the middle of both those lenses. Yeah, so I feel like I don't know, I always feel like the 50 is a really good place to start for a portrait lens. The Starbucks designs change from state to state, but not much. Also love your videos. Yes. I'm really excited to get a Colorado mug. Colorado, when will you be here? I'm going to Colorado in a week, and we're going to be in Denver for a few days, and then we're going to go to Aspen to be like out in nature and take photos and stuff like that. So I think we'll be in the state for about 5 or 6 days, and then we're road tripping all the way to Yosemite. So we're going to stop, I think, in Utah at the Salt Flats, because I've never seen salt flats before, so I think that would be really fun. And then, yeah, then we'll be in Yosemite, where we'll go to Tulum Meadows, then Yosemite Valley, then we'll go to Lake Tahoe, and then drive to San Francisco and fly back home to Sydney. It's going to be a lot of driving to do, but there's going to be 3 of us. It's going to be me and Dan, and then Dan's best friend Kung. He also shoots on Sony, everyone. If you guys remember the Sony A7 Mark II videos that I did, I borrowed his camera for those photo shoots. And and I saw like some people were commenting that I should use vintage lenses on the Sony, which I am going to do when we're in Colorado and make some videos about it. Because Kung uses some vintage lenses on his Sony, so we'll just like switch lenses for the day so I can play around with it. Stop in Oregon. I would love to go to Oregon. One of my good friends, Kiara Rose, lives there, and I really want to visit her and visit Oregon, but we don't have a lot of time on this trip, and I really want to spend a good amount of time in Oregon, so we'll probably just have to go back another time so we can actually spend like a week or 2 there. Would you ever live in the States? I mean, I've thought about it before, but I really love Australia for a lot of reasons, so probably not. But I do love visiting the States. You guys have so many beautiful like national parks, and your cities are gorgeous, and yeah, it's just a really fun place to travel to. Check out Boulder in Colorado if you can. Yeah, lots of people were telling me about that. If you guys have any suggestions of places to go in Colorado, please let me know. How's Sony Color treating you for skin tones? I think it's pretty good. I mean, these are all Sony shots that we're going through at the moment, and the skin tone's really nice. I keep doing this thing where I do no makeup photo shoots when I'm using the Sony. And I do that sometimes sorry, my mouse is like in the middle of the photo. And I do that sometimes with Canon shoots as well. But so far, pretty much every single shoot I've done on Sony has been no makeup, which affects what the skin tones look like in a way. But I think the skin tones straight out of the camera look really nice. I've never really had an issue with it like while editing or anything like that. Do you guys like getting smiley shots when you're taking photos of people? I feel like it's this new thing and I really love it. I love it. Colorado, will you be hiring local models? If you guys are a model, makeup artist, stylist, anyone in Colorado and you want to do a photo shoot with me while I'm there, please message me on Instagram or email me, because I would love to do like at least one photo shoot while I'm there. Because I think that would be so fun. Laughing smile shots are the ones I usually go for. Yeah, I feel like I'm really loving them lately. It's like a nice change to like What profile do you use on your Sony? I just use standard picture profile, which is what I use for like all the cameras that I shoot on. So Canon, Sony, anything, I just always have standard. The picture profile doesn't matter too much if you're shooting in RAW, because for example, in picture profile, you can set it to have like more contrast or more sharpness and things like that. So that's actually something that gets applied in post, so you can get rid of it, if that makes sense. Do you use the tone curve every time you edit pictures? Yeah, I would say I use pretty much everything in Lightroom every time I edit a picture. I love post-processing and playing around with it and stuff, so yeah, I pretty much use everything. Also, I don't know if you guys can... Oh, I like that shot. It's like a little bit blurry, but it looks really cool. It's like a moment. I don't know if you guys can tell, but for this photo shoot, I wanted to shoot it like a little bit different and not try and get super perfect lighting for the entire shoot, if that makes sense. Like I wanted to play around with, see how there's like a little bit of dappled light on her face, like in this shot in particular. I love that one. That one's getting 2 stars. Yeah, I don't know, just to have like something different to edit and to post, I guess. I learned so much from your channel. Thanks so much. Thank you. I noticed that you use a lot of mattish, that's a really weird word to say out loud, type post-processing. How do you not go overboard? I think I do go overboard sometimes, but I think like there's not really any right and wrong when it comes to editing. Like I feel like I edit a photo depending on what the shoot looks like and what I think the post-processing will suit the photos. So sometimes I go like crazy matte and crazy desaturated, and sometimes I go really contrasty and really vibrant. If that makes sense. My bad. No, I feel like I just saying mattish out loud, I was like, that doesn't sound right. But it looks correct when you type it. I learned so much as well. That makes me so happy to hear. I love getting like messages and comments and all these chats right now of you guys saying that my videos are inspiring, because it really like makes me want to just make more, you know? I love it. And making videos is so much fun as well. I feel like it really adds an interesting aspect to life. And yeah, I feel like I think about things differently. And you know what? Actually, I feel like ever since I started a YouTube channel, I feel like my photography has improved as well. I'm not really sure why. Maybe because I'm like doing photo shoots more often. And I feel like sometimes the best way to learn is to actually teach, because you have to think of different ways to like get your point and your thoughts across. So you learn things in the process as well. When are you going to do a full photographer shoot the same model? I don't know if I should, because that's like Jessica Kobeisi's thing, you know? And she's made it like it's such a prominent like part of her channel. I feel a bit weird to do the same thing. I would like have to ask her permission or something. I mean, it would be fun though. There's just not that many. There's a lot of photographers here in Australia, but I feel like there's no one really on YouTube. It would be cool to have other people that have channels as well to get on board. That one's a pretty portrait. Do you ever shoot film? And if so, can we get a video? I don't shoot film that often, even though I would like to do it more often. I just don't for some reason. I don't know. I like always either forget or I get preoccupied shooting digital and stuff. But I do have a photo shoot with Christina where I shot on the Canon EOS 1V and some Agfa 400 film, I think it was. which was really fun. And that's on my channel if you want to see. I think I titled it EOS 1V if you search for it on my channel. But yeah, I want to do more film photo shoots. Do you use Lightroom Mobile often or whenever you get the chance? I actually really like using Lightroom Mobile when I'm traveling and I don't really feel like pulling out my laptop to do an edit. I've saved like some of my favorite presets on Lightroom Mobile so I can easily use them. So like Amalfi, disposable film, London, the LA preset as well. I've saved like a whole bunch of them. But mostly just while I'm traveling. Actually, funny story. When I was in Fiji with Dan and we were shooting a wedding there, I couldn't connect to the internet on my laptop and I had been signed out of Creative Cloud, so I couldn't open Lightroom. And so we did a pre-wedding shoot with the couple and I wanted to get the photos edited before the wedding day. So I ended up selecting the photos on my laptop and then airdropping them to my phone and editing them on my phone with the presets that I had saved, and then texting the couple like a few photos for them to have, like to post and stuff before the wedding. So Lightroom Mobile really came in handy for that. Love that you don't often say subscribe on your videos like other YouTubers do. That made me sub to you. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I feel a bit weird with the self promo. Like it makes me feel funny. I don't know. I feel like if you like my videos and you like learning about photography, then you'll just subscribe. Like I don't have to tell you. So yeah, I don't say it. Esa modelo es linda. She is very pretty. She moved around really well as well. She moved a lot. I was so happy that the Sigma worked really well on the Sony, because otherwise I would have just ended up with a million blurry photos. But like as you can see, the majority of the photos are really sharp and she was moving around like a lot. I was trying to get like a creative photo with the whole of the leaf. I don't really think it worked out that well though. We're getting to some backlit photos really soon. I think the backlit ones are like my favorites from the day. Found some flowers in the location, which is cool. Yeah, these ones. There's a little bit of a funny color cast on her face. Like it makes her nose, her eyes and her teeth and her chin look a little bit yellow. But that's just because we were shooting at midday when the sun was really bright. So the sun was reflecting the color of the leaves and the green and the flowers and stuff back onto her face, which made it all kind of yellow. So that's something that I would edit in Photoshop. I would apply a color layer and then paint with some color over the yellow bits just to make it come back to like normal. Drop your photography Instagrams. I want to go stalk y'all. Yeah, if you guys want to share your Instagrams, please do in the chat so everyone can check everyone else's workout. What do you think about the A7 III not having flash? Well, the cameras that I use, the Canon 5D 2, 3, and 4 series, none of them had flash either, which I think is fine. I don't really... I've got external flashes that I use for weddings, which I prefer because you can control the direction in which the flash points. which to me is a lot better than having like the little on-camera flash. But that's just personal preference. You tried Sigma Art on Sony. I wanted to buy Sony body, but have heard that the Sigma Art series aren't that great on them. Yeah, I was very surprised because I kind of thought it might work the same way that adapted Canon lenses do, but honestly, it felt like it was native glass. It was super fast. Like, yeah, you can just see like how sharp some of these shots are. Um, but yeah, I had a lot of fun shooting on the Sigma 85, so I really, really want to get some more Sigma lenses, especially the 35 and the 50. Those are pretty much all the lenses. And I would also really like to try the Sigma 135. I have the Canon 135, which is a great lens for weddings because of like the reach. But for portraits, like a photo shoot like this, I probably wouldn't use it because it's not like the sharpest lens. Whereas I've seen some photos on the Sigma 135 and it looks amazing. But yeah, so I caught up like a bunch of camera stores and there was nothing to hire. Absolutely nothing. There was no Sony lenses. All the Sigma 35s and 50s had been booked out for the weekend, which is such a bummer. But I'm really glad I got to try the 85. I actually like kind of fell in love with it a little bit while I was shooting. These shots are beautiful. I really like the laughter ones. Thank you. Yeah, I really love the laughing ones too. She had like such a great like natural smile style. It's also really funny because well, it's not really funny. But usually at photo shoots I bring some outfits along and I ask the model to bring some outfits as well. And we ended up just shooting in a plain white t-shirt and these jeans for like the whole time. And it's like, sometimes all you need is just one super basic outfit and you can still create some really beautiful photos. I used to get really caught up in the styling of my photo shoots. And then I realized that you can really just keep it super simple and still get some beautiful shots. Would you ever try to shoot with the Canon 70-200 2.8? I've shot with that lens once before and it is a beautiful, very sharp lens. I used it when I went to a music festival that I was covering for a magazine. And yeah, I got like photos of the like the bands and the singers and stuff that were on stage, and I also had to capture like documentary shots of the people that were at the festival. And yeah, it's a very beautiful lens. But in terms of portraits, I prefer to be like physically closer up to the person I'm taking photos of, because I give like a lot of instructions, like kind of under, like I just like talking to people while I'm shooting. And I feel like on a 70 to 200, I would just be so far away from them that it wouldn't feel that natural. I don't know. How many of you guys like to do portrait photo shoots on like a 70 to 200 or a 135 or a 100? I'm curious to know. Or do you prefer to be closer to your model like me on like a 35, 50? 85 is okay as well. It's not too far away. I agree with you. You can wind up trying to do too much with styling and it's overkill. Simple can be best sometimes. Yeah. It took me a while to learn that. But we're getting there. Thank you for all that you share. I adore this photography community. Me too. I really love all of this. I swear, I think starting a YouTube channel was probably the best thing I ever decided to do. Do you know, I procrastinated so hard starting a channel. I wanted to do it for like more than a year. I was thinking about it, but I was always just too nervous to make anything and to like talk to a camera and stuff. But yeah, there's no better time to start now. How often do you edit in Photoshop? I edit pretty much every single photo that I take in Photoshop of like a portrait photo shoot. Something like my travel photography, I wouldn't retouch in Photoshop. I would just do Lightroom edits, even if it's got people in them. But I feel like portrait photo shoots, agencies and clients and stuff kind of expect it to be retouched. I do try and keep my retouching as minimal and natural as possible though, but yeah, pretty much every single photo goes through the Photoshop. I'm just gonna share a link to the live stream on Instagram. Where's my brain is just bye. Did you know when you're posting a photo on Instagram on your story, you can actually click on that thing that says past 24 hours and then select the folder of where the photo that you want is? Because I used to just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll through like my whole camera roll that's in Instagram stories to find what I need before I realized that you can touch that and it's a lot easier to find whatever you want to post. Which photo should I share? This one. Live on YouTube. Swipe up to join us. Link, paste, done. Share. Oh, I changed my profile picture on Instagram for the first time in like 2 years. I should start doing that more often. Do you ever do trade for print shoots? And if so, how many photos do you usually trade to any given model? Yeah, I definitely still do TFP or free test shoots or collaborative shoots because I feel like it's always important to get out there and shoot. Even if it is for free, it's just a good way to like meet people and to try different things and to find different locations and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely do that. And then I usually edit probably anywhere between 10 to 30 photos depending like how many locations we shot in, how many looks, like styles of outfits we did and stuff like that. I probably edit like way more than other photographers do. But I'm pretty quick when it comes to editing. I probably spend like an hour doing all the coloring, post-processing in Lightroom on the entire photo shoot. And then I spend maybe like 5 to 10 minutes in Photoshop retouching every photo. So it doesn't take me that long to edit a photo shoot, which is probably why I edit more photos. You should come to Puerto Rico. We have some amazing scenery here. Yeah, I would love to go there, and Costa Rica as well. And I really want to go back to Argentina too. I wonder, do you guys know if there's any modeling agencies in like Buenos Aires or something like that? I would love to do photo shoots there, even though it's a little bit scary, but... Oh yeah, so I asked you guys what lens you... there we go. What lens you guys prefer, if you prefer to be closer or further away from a model when you're doing a photo shoot. And you guys were saying, I love the 50, 35mm is my go-to, or 24 to 70, 50 or 85 for one person, but 70 to 200 is great for couples as it gives them a little space. Yes, I totally agree about that. I use an 85 if I'm going long, though I would like to use the 70 to 200. I don't have one yet. The other two faves I use are 24 to 70 and the 50. Yeah, so I feel like we're all pretty similar in what lenses we prefer to use when shooting. I have the Canon 24 to 70 Mark 1. And I really want to do a photo shoot with it, but I feel like it's not good enough quality. And then I'm like, you're an idiot. It's like an L series lens. Surely it would be fine. I just felt like, I don't know if you guys have the Mark 1 version of this lens. I just feel like the photos come out a little bit soft, and it kind of tends to misfocus a little bit, especially... It's fine when you're on the 70mm end, but I feel like the wider and wider you go, the lens tends to misfocus a lot more. I don't know. I should just do it. My skin retouching is so bad. I need some serious help. I feel like the best tip I can give you with skin retouching is to do as little as possible and to use as small as possible brush as you can. I feel like when I end up getting carried away with skin retouching, when I use a really big brush, because I'm like, oh, I just want to get it done quickly, and then it ends up looking really fake and I have to redo it. Yeah, so hopefully that helps. I just try and use like a really tiny brush, and that stops me from going overboard with it. And also frequency separation changed my life. That is so good. What do you recommend to someone who is starting on Instagram as a photographer? I feel like I'm late to the game, but I do love photography as a hobby. I feel like the best thing you can do is to just share the photos that you're proud of and that you're happy with. And I don't know, I feel like when you share what you're passionate about and you put that out there, the world kind of like responds. But for me personally, like I wouldn't post on Instagram hoping to be Insta famous or to make heaps of money from sponsored posts on Instagram or whatever. I just post because I just want to share my work and it's fun and I have something that I feel like I want to share. Does that make sense? The best thing you did as a beginner that helped you grow. For me, it was going out and shooting as much as possible. I did so many free photo shoots and I just was always with my camera. Like every time we like drove somewhere, like if we were going to the park, I would bring my camera to take photos with it. If I was traveling, I would take a million photos while I was traveling. Like I would just always have my camera on me and I would always be practicing. And then I feel like free photo shoots are a lot better than they may seem. I feel like a lot of the clients that I've gotten over the years, I can pinpoint one free photo shoot that I did that helped me get that client. So it was either someone that I worked with that recommended me to that client who later booked me for a job, or the client fell in love with one particular photo that I took from a photo shoot and booked me because of that. So I feel like free photo shoots are really important. And yeah, and that's what helped me improve the most. I think just like photography is almost like a muscle. So the more you use it, the better you'll get. The more like you get more used to your camera. So you think about your camera settings and stuff like that less, and you can focus more on your like communication with the model or whoever you're taking a photo with. Just, yeah, practice. Lenses are so expensive. Yeah, I know. There are some good cheap lenses around though. Like the Canon 51.8 and the Canon 51.4 are both really great lenses. And they're not too expensive. I feel like the new 50mm for the EOS R is like $1 million or something. It's so expensive. It looks pretty nice though. I don't think I would upgrade my 51.2 though. Is that for me?
Coffee.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, Dan made me a coffee. Now, oh, I have to show you. Wait, where's the name? Oh, here it is. It's really full. Now I have my Hawaii mug. That's very sweet. Thank you, Dan. If you're watching. How many pictures do you send to the models? Like, how many pictures do they want? I feel like 10 to 20 is pretty good. I think what was I saying? I think because I do behind the scene photo shoot videos on YouTube, I end up editing a little bit more just so there's a lot of photos throughout the video. But I think like 10 to 20 is plenty. Are you self-taught or school for photography? I am self-taught in a way. I learned a lot by getting out there and shooting. And I also learned a lot by going out to meet other photographers and working for other photographers and working with other photographers as well. Yeah, I feel like for me, at least personally, I learn the best from experience. Oh, it's kind of like struggling to focus a little bit here. I feel like it's a bit soft on her face. It's focused on the background instead. My first camera was a Pentax K100D. And it had a kit lens. And then one day the kit lens broke. So I had a film camera that I used to not use. I think I used it like a couple of times. So I ended up putting the film lens onto my Pentax camera. And then eventually I ended up getting the Canon 5D Mark II, which was my first professional DSLR. Greetings from Mexico. Love your work. Thank you. Please give your opinion on Nikon camera and lenses. I've never had the chance to use a Nikon properly. I used a Nikon years ago, maybe like 8 years now, back when I used to work at a photography studio that did like actors headshots and stuff. The main photographer was a Nikon user, so I was working there for a while, and eventually I started doing some headshots as well. So every time I would do that, I would use his camera. And yeah, they're great cameras. Very, yeah. Do you crop a lot? No, not really. The only time I really crop is when I get a crooked photo. So I straighten it up and then kind of crop it in the meantime. I used the Metabones 4 adapter to use Canon and Sigma lenses on the Sony. I really loved this spot while we were taking photos. It looks so tropical and vibrant and green, and then with the model in like the white t-shirt and the light blue jeans, I feel like she stands out so much from the background. I love these shots. 3 a.m. in London, glad I stayed up. Great tips. Oh, I appreciate you staying up so late. I would die if I stayed up till 3 a.m. I'm like not a morning person, and I'm not a late night person either. I'm not really a daytime person. Just not really a person. I cannot stay up late. How to work with non-models. I have a video about that on my channel. It's like my featured video if you want to check it out, with some tips on how to work with non-models. I took photos of my sister, and she's like me. She absolutely hates being in front of the camera, so I really appreciate that she did model for me for that video, because I know it's tough. That's kind of a cool photo. I'd probably like crop it in a little bit more. Do you have a problem with the green cast in these types of photos? Yeah, it depends what the lighting looks like. So a bit earlier we were going through some shots where we shot in front of a flower bush, and because there was a lot of light streaming in, there was a really bright like yellow cast on her face. And I would pretty much fix that up in Photoshop by using a color layer and then using the eyedrop tool to select like a skin color piece of skin, and then painting over like the yellow or the green casted bits just to fix it up. You would love the Caribbean. Those fig trees are common all over. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I feel like every time I see a tree like this, I'm like, oh, let's take a photo in front of it. It's 5 a.m. editing and listening to you in the background feels like I'm editing with someone. Oh, that's really cool. But again, 5 a.m., you guys are crazy. I could never stay up so late. Oh, man. Thanks for your reply on Nikon cameras. That's okay. I wish I had more to say, but yeah, I have used Nikons before and they're great cameras. Maybe I should hire a Nikon with a 35 or something and do some photo shoots with it. That would be fun, actually. Because I don't really mind like what camera I use for photos, you know? They've all got their pros and cons. They're all good for particular reasons. I'm in Australia too, so the timing is great for me. Yay! Yeah, 12 p.m. And it's the long weekend too. We've all got Monday off. It's like the Queen's birthday or Labor Day or something like that. I don't know. Because I work for myself, I didn't even realize that this was a long weekend. Excuse me. I'm in Australia too. Whereabouts in Australia? I'm in Sydney. Sydney. What is this software? This is Photo Mechanic. I love it for selecting photos because it's just really fast. Like as you guys can see, we're going through each photo one by one and there's like pretty much no load time in between, which is awesome. I used to do my selecting in Adobe Bridge and oh my God, I feel like the selection process would take me 3 times as long as it does in Photo Mechanic, just because you have to wait for each photo to load to make sure if it's sharp and if it's got a good like expression. So yeah, if you guys, I think there's like a free trial for Photo Mechanic. You should try it out if you haven't yet, because I highly recommend it. Oh, that's a nice one. I really like her widow's peak. Yeah, it's like really defined. It's cool. Brisbane, Sydney, New Zealand, Melbourne. Pretty much from everywhere. Sydney, an hour south, so in like Wollongong area. I'm going to Wollongong next week. Or tomorrow, I think, actually. Yeah, it's Monday. The most beautiful thing about your photography is that you use one camera, one lens, and use the ambience maximum. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like if you guys haven't tried it, you should really try doing at least one photo shoot where you pick one lens, one camera, and you do the whole photo shoot on that. I feel like having those kinds of limitations in photography can help you be like so much more creative in what you create. Creative in what you create. How are you streaming in Super HD though? It's amazing. We've got the Sony a7 III plugged in, and that's the camera that's filming me. Hi from Wisconsin. How do clients pay you? Is there a site you recommend? No, I actually don't use any sites to manage my bookings and stuff like that. We just kind of do it all manually. I don't know. I've tried out a bunch of those sites. I just feel like it's so much more extra work for me. I kind of forget like to log in and to update it and stuff. I just find it more natural to do it just manually. I just create like PDF invoices and stuff like that. I'm loving your presets. Amalfi's life. Yes, I love it so much. I'm so glad you guys love it too. I get so excited when you guys post photos on Instagram edited with my presets, because I follow the digital film actions hashtag, so it always comes up when I'm scrolling through my feed. And you guys take some really beautiful photos. We're almost at the end of the photo shoot. So normally what I do is I go through all the photos one by one and give 1 star to anything that I think I might edit. So then when I'm finished at the end of the photo shoot, I hide all the 0-star ones and I'm only left with the 1 stars. And then from there, that's where I kind of select the final photos that I want to edit. And I kind of like to make sure that there's a bit of a variety in the photos that I pick. I don't know, how long have we been streaming for? Like an hour now? Maybe we can start selecting some of the final photos to edit, since we're almost done here. Do you think crop sensors are bad, or are they okay for beginners? I think crop sensor cameras are fine. You just need to keep in mind that whatever lens you're using will look just a bit more zoomed in compared to a full frame camera. But aside from that, it's definitely great for anyone. Oh, cool. Thank you for the super chat. I don't know what that says. Oh, I need to translate it. How do I... Hold on. Let me translate your super chat. Give me 1 second. I am supporting you, your success. Please enjoy a wonderful photo from now. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. 240 yen. That's amazing. Thank you. I really appreciate that. You need to go to Jamaica and visit a place called Blue Hole. That sounds amazing. There's actually some blue holes in the South Pacific, like Samoa and stuff like that. I would love to go there. $3 Australian. I still appreciate it very much. Yeah, around 10 to 20 images for oh no, why is it scrolling? For a client, yeah. But for a client, it really depends like what kind of photo shoot you're doing as well. And like I would always before the photo shoot predetermine like how many photos I would be giving to the client, just so it's all clear like before they pay and before we do the shoot and stuff like that. Oh, that's the last photo. Yay! It always feels so good to finish selecting. Alright, so these are all the 1 stars that we're left with. Oh, there's so many. 300. Oh my god. CJ Andrews super chat $2. Thank you. There's no message for me to read out. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. When you edit photos to black and white, do you still do frequency separation after editing in Lightroom? I feel like with black and white images, you can almost get away with less retouching. So I retouch using like I don't know what the method is called, but I use spot healing and then I use the stamp tool as well, but it's like a little bit more rough compared to when I use frequency separation. Oh, it didn't add your message. Well, if you write your message, I'll read it out. But yeah, I want to do a video. I've been like thinking about this. Sorry, let me switch legs. My other one's getting numb. About all the different ways that there are to retouch a portrait, because usually for a photo shoot, depending on what the lighting looks like, how like where the focus is on the image, and and like what the model looks like if she's got freckles and stuff like that, I usually use a variety of different retouching techniques for a single photo shoot. So yeah, I want to make a video about that. CJ Andrews says, have a hard time remembering posing or know the right pose for the theme. What would be your advice to improving that area of posing? So something that I like to do is, depending on the location that I've chosen for a photo shoot, will depend on the kind of look that I'm after for that photo shoot. So I would go online like Instagram or Tumblr, if that still is a thing, or like Pinterest, or also a lot of the time I go to boutique websites like clothing stores and stuff like that to get inspiration for my photo shoot. So I'll kind of like look at all the photos and get a bit of a vibe for what I'm going for as well. And then I'll save some of my favorite images that have interesting posing and just save that on my phone to be able to show the model the kind of look that I'm going for that photo shoot. And yeah, and then you just have it like in your pocket. If you're shooting and you're stuck on what to do next, just ask the person you're shooting for to just hold on a second. You can pull out your phone, you can have a look through your inspiration photos and like kind of kick your brain into being like, oh, that's one of the shots that I wanted to do. And then you can sort of like start getting back into the photo shoot with some new poses and stuff. Did I answer that properly? CJ, man, you wrote that like 8 times. I can only see that once in the chat. Sorry. It's like hard to keep up. So if like I haven't answered your question and you really want me to answer it, just type it out again in the chat. Jura1 Technology has super chat $20. Thank you. What I learnt from you. Thank you. God bless. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that a lot. I'm really glad you guys like are learning so much from my channel. I like really never imagined all this to happen when I first started YouTube, but it really makes me so happy. My gosh, you guys are amazing. Stephen Jones donated $6.99. Thank you. Hey, just recently bought your preset with the wrong email. Thanks for the help with that. Have you ever had a client that didn't like their photos? I've had clients not like the editing sometimes, or they didn't like the images I selected. But I feel like a lot of the times it was just, it was fixed up with communication, if that makes sense. So sometimes the client like wouldn't really say anything, or they were like, oh, it's okay. So I really like have learned over time that it's the best to just get to the bottom of the issue. So I really just ask them like what they're thinking and what they didn't like in particular, because a lot of the time it was something that was really easily fixed up just by sending them more photos for them to choose from what they preferred, or to just change the editing and like little things like that. But yeah, I'm pretty lucky that I get a lot of clients that really go for my style of work. So they are usually pretty happy with my photos. I feel like the best thing to do to avoid people being unhappy is to have a lot of communication before the photo shoot. So don't be afraid to ask clients a lot of questions about what they want. Ask them to send you inspiration photos so you have as much information as possible to be able to like deliver them something that they're happy with. And Kayla Puck, I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that properly, super chatted $5. Thank you. Aloha Julia, sending love all the way from Hawaii. I look to you for inspiration. Also, I love your presets. Thank you. That makes me so happy. And I'm drinking coffee out of my Hawaii mug. Okay. I love Hawaii so much. I really want to go back. It's so beautiful. Anybody want to donate to me? Start a YouTube live stream. What made you start a YouTube channel? Did anyone inspire you, or did you just want to share your talent with the world? Well, first of all, that was very sweet. Thank you. I don't know. I feel like creating videos has always been something that I've been really interested in, but I can't do it well enough to be a professional videographer. And then the other thing was that, I don't know, before when I was doing fashion photography full time, it felt a little bit empty, if that makes sense. Like I wasn't really like feeling it in my heart, and I just wanted to do something that was a little bit like deeper, that meant something a little bit more. Yeah, which is kind of what inspired me to start a YouTube channel, because I was like, I can like teach people, because I used to get questions all the time about like what camera gear I used and how I edit and stuff like that, and I was like, well, maybe I should try and see how it goes. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you so much for all the donations. I appreciate that so much. So I was just like having a moment of like reflection. I was like, I'm currently taking L lens donations. I'm pretty sure that every photographer is up for any kind of lens donation at any point in life. Just wake up, didn't catch the start. Good morning. It's all good. We'll be here for a little bit longer. Maybe I should start going on the second pass of selecting. But it's hard. What is your favorite lens? The 35 1.4. for sure. I love it. I feel like it's such a versatile lens. Like you can shoot so much. I have it on my camera for pretty much the majority of a wedding day. I love doing portrait photo shoots with it. I love traveling with the 35. Oh, and someone asked me before, I remember, do you like the 24-70 for travel photography and walking around, or do you prefer a prime lens? For me, again, this is all like personal preference, but I really, really love traveling with the 35. So much so that I made a whole video about it. But basically the 35, it's such a flattering portrait lens, so it's really great to be able to get photos of people while you're traveling. And because it's wide, you can see a lot of the background as well. And then it's also a really good landscape lens too. But I think I'm just like really used to using prime lenses. I think for someone, if you're not used to it, maybe a 24-70 is a good idea. Favorite lens in your Sony? Also the Canon 35 1.4. Although I was really, really impressed by the Sigma 85 on the A7R. A7 III, sorry. What do you think about converting to D&G? I've always thought about it as in the way that converting to D&G is good because it's like the standard file type that will always be available, like JPEG or PDF or whatever. So it's kind of, I think it's more important if you use like less popular cameras, and maybe one day that camera's particular raw file may not be supported on other programs anymore. Does that make sense? So yeah, if you use like a less popular camera, then I would convert the raw files to D&G to make sure that you can still open them 10, 20 years down the track. Bye. Maybe I'll catch you in Wollongong tomorrow. See you. Thank you so much for joining on the live stream. On the love stream. God, I'm lame sometimes. I'm glad you said that there isn't a right way to photography because it makes me less worried about messing up. Yeah, I 100% believe that very much. There is no right and wrong. I mean, I like taking close-up portraits on a 35. Lots of people love to give me crap for that sometimes. I'm like, you can use any lens for anything you want. There's no rules. Imagine, there's like no, photography rule book. The photography law. What am I talking about? Sorry. I need me some lip balm. Look at my massive tub of pawpaw ointment. Have you tried the Canon 100 for extreme close-up shots of a model's eyes? No, I have not. I think the closest close-up photo I've ever taken was for a book cover I was shooting. And I used the 24-70 on the 70 side, and I got in as close as possible to the model, and I got like the closest close-up photo I've ever shot. But I would love to try the 100mm though, because so many of you guys say in the comments of my videos that it's an amazing lens. So yeah. Mic too fast. Sorry, I'm like stretching out. I'm also not in the middle. How dare you shoot portraits on a 35? Guess what? I've shot portraits on a 24 as well. What do you do with the rejected files? Can you recommend a cloud backup? So unfortunately, the internet is way too slow in Australia to do cloud backups of raw files, which sucks because I would love to do that. So I basically keep all my files on external hard drives, and I keep absolutely everything. I answered this in one of my Instagram story Q&A thingies, and I was like, I'm a file hoarder. Like, I cannot get rid of a single file. I have to keep everything. Even if it's like the worst photo you've ever seen in your life, it's like blurry, overexposed, I will keep it. And like, I cannot delete it. So yeah, I keep everything. But then on the other hand, I do know a lot of photographers who will do this. They'll 1-star all the good photos from the photo shoot, and then they'll go 0 stars, select or delete. And that just gives me nightmares. Like, I cannot imagine doing that. But it all comes down to personal preference as well. Like, if you know you're never, ever, ever going to go back and use those 0-star photos, then you can save some money and delete them. I feel like I was like ranting. 24mm portraits. Now you're just trying to be like me. I just copy everything you do, don't I? How do you minimize distortion with the 35 while close to the subject? I try not to get my subject like on the edges of the photo or the corners. I feel like that's where it distorts the most. So I try to keep them in like the dead center of the frame. Have you ever faced color calibration issues? Not really. I've been having a problem actually recently. Oh, Dan, this is something I wanted to talk to you about. I just tell you over the live stream. The only color calibration issue that I have is I do screen recording of like my tutorials and stuff on an Atomos, which is an external screen that I plug into my computer. Because if I screen record on QuickTime, it like lags and there's like frame rate issues and it's like disgusting when I import it into Premiere. And it also like cuts out my talking as well, so it's not great to do tutorials. And I found actually when I was recording a new video the other day that when I turn on the Atomos for the first time, the color calibration is exactly the same to my computer, but then the longer that I use it, it starts to get like desaturated. So I was recording something and the first 2 clips were matched to my computer. Then I turned it off and then restarted the recording like 10 minutes later. And then the next 2 clips were like totally desaturated, which is really weird. So that's kind of frustrating for when I'm recording tutorials because I kind of have to like calibrate that in Premiere to match like the photos. So Dan, if you know anything about that, please tell me. Or anyone actually, if you know what's going on. Please come and shoot to Japan this time. There's a lot of nice locations. Oh, I want to go to Japan so bad. The actual recording was desaturated. So I'll show you later in like the raw files, but like, yeah, on Premiere, one was perfectly colored and then the next one was desaturated. We are on 2K live stream. Why shot on 60 frames? Actually, in Australia, we do 50 frames. I feel like 60 frames looks weird to my eyes because I'm like not used to it. But yeah, does anyone do screen recordings with QuickTime on your Mac? Hi from the PH. Is that the Philippines? I'll be in Sydney for the month of March next year. Hope to do some test shoots and stuff with people, but I don't know anyone there. I would recommend to get on Instagram and just search for people and message people and ask them if they want to shoot. There's a lot of people in Sydney, part of the creative industry. Oh, you should also try it on Facebook. There's a couple of groups. There's an Australian creative group and a Sydney creative group where you can post like your work and book some photo shoots with people. I shoot with a 55 but can't nail focus every time. And there was someone else who asked a question about focusing as well. For me, I like to select a manual focus point, and then I also like to use one shot rather than continuous because I feel like I've got more control over when the shot is in focus. I feel like with continuous, maybe sometimes when you press to take the picture, it might like slip out. And then I would also recommend to put your focus point on the eye that is closest to the lens. For me, the eyes are the most important part of a portrait, so if they are sharp, I feel like the rest of the image just falls into place. So yeah, I just make sure the eyes are in focus. And also take your time. Like if you shoot at 1.2 and you're finding that a lot of your shots are out of focus, I would recommend to shoot with a bit of a sharper, higher aperture, like maybe 2.8 or 2 or f2. And then when you start getting used to the way that looks, and if you're getting more and more sharp photos, then you can start stopping down your aperture to shoot with a more shallow depth of field. Is that Facebook group called Australian Creatives? Let me check. I'm pretty sure it is Australian Creatives. Let me see. I just came across your page 2 days ago and I've been binge watching your videos non-stop. I just bought my first DSLR a week ago. That's really cool. I hope you have been learning a lot. Australian. Oh man, how do I find like what groups I'm part of? I like never ever go on Facebook. So when I do, I don't know how to use it. Profile groups. Okay, one of them is called TFP Australia Last Minute Models, Photographers, Stylists, HMUA. That's one that I'm part of. And then there's also Sydney Creative Network. And that's all I know. But yeah, just like Google like Australia Creative or Sydney Creative and just join any group that you can find because you never know. Yeah. Do you struggle or how do you deal when shooting with models that are too tall? Like in finding the right angles when you're looking up at them the whole time? Yeah, I've actually had to have dealt with that before. There was a girl in Poznan, Poland that I did a photo shoot with and she was so tall. She was like beautiful. But yeah, it was really hard to get like a good angle. In some ways it was good because I do like to shoot on a little bit of an up angle sometimes with fashion photography to give it a bit more of an interesting look. But a lot of the time I had to either ask her to sit down or to either bend her knees or like, you know, when you spread your legs a little bit so you're shorter, I would have to ask her to do that so I can get some more like flattering angles. Okay, let's do the second pass on these photos. Maybe we'll stay on here until about like half an hour more. Are you guys sick of me? Okay, on this second pass, I'm going to give the photos I really, really love 2 stars. I have to like really imagine myself editing the photo in order to give it 2 stars because otherwise I just get like carried away and I select way too many. hot button topic, but how is shooting men versus women in terms of style, and do you ever have to navigate sketchy situations? The only time I have sketchy situations is because I shoot outdoors for every single photo shoot. Sometimes there are weird people, like strangers, that just come up and like hang out or stare at us, and like you have to kind of ask them to leave, but in a nice way, because like you don't want them to get annoyed at you. It's kind of scary. And also like we kind of leave all our stuff in like a pile, like really close by to us, like maybe a meter or two away from where we're shooting. And I've had times, actually in the last behind the scenes photo shoot, the one with Chloe, where there was a person who was walking like all the way from the other side of the park towards us, but the entire field, it was a massive field, was completely empty. And he was walking to the other side of the park, but straight towards us. And he ended up walking in between where we were shooting and our bags. And it was just the most awkward thing ever. Like we really thought he was going to grab something and like run off. So I like casually like walked over to our bags, excuse me, and was just like pretending to get something from my bag until he like left, because it was really weird. But in terms of models and stuff, I haven't had any like sketchy situations to deal with. I work with a lot of modeling agencies, so they're always very professional and good. Yeah, I mostly just have a problem with like strangers. Do you know something that I find really funny? I was doing a this actually happened several times, but I would do like lookbook photo shoots on location, so like at the beach and stuff. And with a lookbook, you know, you get a lot of outfits that you have to take photos of. So the client will usually bring all the outfits on a hanger, or they'll have a massive blanket and they'll lay it down on the ground. And there was one time where we had all the clothes like laid out, and this lady just came up and started rummaging through the clothes. And like the client told her like very nicely, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're just doing a photo shoot. This isn't a market. None of these clothes are for sale. So like, can you stop touching them?" And she just like stared at her and then continued rummaging through the clothes. It was so weird. She left eventually. But that was like, ooh, that was strange. I've already done 3 photo shoots and I feel like I've gotten better already. Yeah, I highly recommend to just get out and shoot. It's like honestly the best way that you'll improve. Even if you like make mistakes or the photo shoot isn't the best thing in the world, like if you sit down with the photos that you love and the photos that you didn't like and pinpoint exactly what it is that you know, that didn't exactly work out and how you can improve that next time, you'll get better with every single photo shoot that you do. Were the clothes Gucci? No, they were just some like random Australian label. But the lady was just like, I need to look at them. So weird. And yeah, that it's happened a few times where, but you tell them like, oh, this isn't a market, we're just doing a photo shoot. And they'll be like, oh, okay, sorry. But that lady, she just kept looking through the clothes. And she spoke English as well. Because she was asking us like, oh, how much is these? Oh, I just want to have a look. I'm like, it's not for sale. Damn, thank you so much. Also asking for my girlfriend because I know she can get intimidated by aggro people. Yeah, it's a little bit scary because you don't know like anyone's story or what anyone's like. And like, I feel like for me, like if I see a photo shoot going on, I'm never going to walk up to them and just stare at them. So like you don't know like what someone's going through or what's going through their mind. So I try to just be really polite with anytime something like that happens, because you never know. I made a mistake the other day and accidentally left my ISO on 800. I'll always double check next time. Oh my God. Yeah, that used to happen to me as well when I first started photography. But that's the thing. That's what like people or I mean when you say that you learn from your mistakes. It's kind of like when you do something once, you will never do it again because it's just like engraved in your mind. But yeah, that happened to me as well with the ISO. It also happened to me with not having enough camera batteries. The next day I bought like 5 camera batteries and I'm like, that's never happening again. How do you approach the problem when you're stuck and the camera angle didn't work? Sorry. For me, I've learned that if something doesn't work, to just stop and move on and do something else. I used to kind of like continue shooting even if I wasn't super happy with like the spot that we were shooting in or the lighting or the way the model was moving. I would just like continue shooting because I was like too nervous to say anything. But I've noticed over time that there's really no point in wasting like your time, my time, anyone else who's part of the shoot's time, and you just stop if it doesn't work and just tell the model like, oh, the lighting doesn't look that good here, or oh, the location isn't as good as I thought it would be, and then just walk somewhere else and do something different. But that took me, like, that's a lot easier said than done, because for years I would just continue shooting even if something wasn't looking that good. Yeah, it just, again, like, it's like that whole practice thing to be able to notice that a situation isn't great and being able to like take control of the situation and change it. It's a lot harder to actually do than it sounds. How are you liking the Sony a7 III? I love the Sony a7 III. It's such a good camera. I love the photos that camera produces. This whole shoot was done on the Sony a7 III, by the way, if anyone wasn't here for the beginning. One time I accidentally shot a whole shoot in Canon S3 setting, which was 0.3 megapixel. Oh no! That's terrible. Oh, that's really funny. Oh, do you know, once, I have like so many stories, but once I was shooting a wedding and there was like some kind of shortcut set up on my camera, which afterwards I figured it out and got rid of it because I was shooting a wedding and my hand must have like swiped over my camera in some way that it changed from RAW files to only shoot JPEG. So we were shooting the wedding. Like the photos were looking good. This was during the ceremony, and then like halfway throughout the ceremony, I don't remember what I did, but I noticed that it was in JPEG, and like I just felt cold on the inside. It freaked me out. Luckily, they were high-res JPEGs, and I was able to edit them in Lightroom to make them look the same as the RAWs. So that situation turned out a lot better than what could have happened. But yeah, I made sure to get rid of that shortcut because I don't even know why that exists. Who needs a shortcut to change your RAW files to JPEGs? Like, no one needs a shortcut for that. Could you do a video on setting standards in terms of communication with a model beforehand? Yeah, that would be a cool video actually. Because I feel like the shoot itself is very important communication wise, but I feel like before the shoot is super important. Like there's a lot of things that you can organize beforehand to make sure the shoot runs as smooth as possible. So that's actually a really good idea for a video. Will you do a video on editing a wedding session using your wedding preset pack? Yeah, definitely. That would be cool. I was actually thinking I could edit a wedding on a live stream. Might be fun. I've been like, why is it so dark? And the lens cap was still on while I was taking photos of someone. Yeah, the old lens cap. That still happens to me now. You go to take a photo and it's black and you're like, oh, the lens cap is still on. Whoops. It seems like you had perfect conditions for this shoot. The photos are so beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, we had really great weather. It's funny because I always start off every story with it's funny, whether it's funny or not. But this day we did two photo shoots in a row. So this was the first shoot in the morning at like 11 a.m. And then we had another photo shoot at 2. And so we had like perfect sunny weather for the morning. And then at 2, we met up and did makeup for that shoot. And then as soon as we finished the makeup, we were walking to the car when it started pouring rain, like so hard. And then we got into the car and we drove to the location. And by the time we got there, it like was sunny again. But yeah, it like poured rain for like 15 minutes that day. And like it just so happened to be when we were not shooting, we were like traveling to the locations. That was really lucky. Would you prefer to shoot on a cloudy or a sunny day? Generally, I prefer sunny days, but I feel like in Australia, or in Sydney at least, we've been having a drought throughout the winter, and it's rained since, like, I don't think we're in a drought anymore, but it hasn't rained that much. So because it's been sunny for so long, I'm kind of missing the clouds a little bit and would like to shoot in the clouds for once. But yeah, pretty much like every single photo shoot this year has been during a really sunny day, which is crazy because usually like I don't have that kind of luck when it comes to taking photos. So yeah, I'm missing those clouds. It's kind of nice being able to shoot without really keeping in mind like what direction you're shooting in and like wow, how the lighting looks and stuff like that. Did you start out doing photo shoots for free? Yes. Yep. I think I mentioned this before, but it is really important to do free photo shoots because you never know who you're going to meet that will recommend you to a client. You never know what kind of photos you'll take that a client will love and then book you for. And it's really great to be able to practice shooting with different people, whether they're experienced or whether they're not experienced. It's good to be able to find different locations for photo shoots so you know what works well, what works okay, and you know you have that kind of knowledge for when you do book a client and they ask you to find a location. And it's also good to be able to practice shooting in different lighting as well. Will you come out with more presets? Yes, I just released a new preset yesterday, which I titled Lotus, and it was inspired by a brand new photo shoot, which I'll be releasing a behind the scenes for this Wednesday. And I'm so excited because that photo shoot was amazing. I was shooting with a model called Linnea, and she was so great. Like her movement was super creative, so I'm like really excited for that video. And I edited all the photos with this new preset that was inspired by that shoot, and it's called Lotus. And I think it's a really cool preset. It kind of like it washes down very vibrant greens in your photos and adds a bit more of like a vintage color. But then the tone is still a little bit contrasty and punchy. Yeah, I'm like really excited about it. I'm actually thinking I'm going to edit these photos with that preset. But yeah, it's on Digital Film Actions. I've uploaded it last night. How long did you do free photo shoots? I still do free photo shoots now, every now and again. Like I said, I think it's always important to continue practicing. Something I really love about photography is that like there's not really a finish line. There's not really a point where you can say I'm done. Like there's always something new to learn. There's always someone new to work with. There's always different locations to shoot in, different gear to shoot with. So that's something that I really love. You're never done. It's not like a game. Oh, I finished Shadow of the Tomb Raider yesterday, which I'm kind of sad about. But it was such a fun game. Do you guys play Tomb Raider? I love Tomb Raider. Friendly reminder to drink some water if you haven't drank any water. Petition to start your new gaming channel. Oh my god, I would love that so much. But I feel like I spend way too much time in front of a computer. But there's so many games I love to play. And I always tell Dan, like at least once a week, Dan, can you tell him in the chat? I like always tell him like, oh, I want to start a gaming channel. It would be so much fun. I don't know if this is really lame, but for me, it's like a nostalgia thing. So one of the first games that I ever played as a child was on PlayStation 1, which was Spyro. And I'm so excited. They've been like remaking it. And that's going to come out like the new version of Spyro next month. And I was so excited to play. Do you guys play games? I feel like it's kind of like, as a photographer, you do spend a lot of time in front of a computer, like editing photos and stuff. And then with YouTube, I spend a lot of time editing video. So playing games is probably not the best hobby to have, but it is. But yeah, let me know in the chat if you guys like to play games and what your favorite games are. I want to know. And I need something new to play now that I finished Tomb Raider, so. I'd be using Lightroom on iPhone. Yeah, Lightroom on iPhone is really, really good. Spyro the Dragon was my first video game too. Yeah. It was such a good game. I remember I had it on... Do you remember PlayStation 1 came with the demo... that CD with all the demo games? I used to play Spyro the demo, like, just on repeat. Elder Scrolls player here. Yeah, I used to play that too. I kind of stopped. I played it for like, I think like, I would say 2 years, I think. And then I just stopped. Had no idea you were a gamer. Same here. I'm obsessed with Zelda Breath of the Wild. Yes, it is so good. I love Zelda. I love the old Zelda games too. I kind of want to go back and play a few of the old ones again. Primes versus zooms. I personally prefer prime lenses. I like the wide apertures because I do tend to shoot in a lot of low light situations, such as in weddings. Like the bride and groom prep is usually indoors, the ceremony is usually indoors, receptions are dark. So I like having wide apertures, and I feel like I get more creative with primes as well. Game live stream. Yes, I would love to do that. I try and play games with the stamina system because otherwise I'd never stop. Yeah, I normally set like a timer for myself, or I play it like last thing of the night. So like if I start at like 8 p.m. or something, then I wouldn't end up playing like all day for like 12 hours straight. My fave games back as a kid was NASCAR 06, King Kong, and Spyro. Hell yeah. When will you post next photos of Christina? We haven't done another photo shoot yet. We've both been like traveling and stuff. So she went to America where she was part of a amazing film clip. I'm like so happy for her. That film clip was like really cool. So she's been really busy, and then I'm going to Colorado next week. So I think we're going to shoot again when I get back. But we always are coming up with ideas and like locations and stuff or where to shoot. Dan said, don't forget our Counter-Strike rounds against each other when we're frustrated. Yeah, we still play Counter-Strike. It's so much fun. I miss the James Bond game. I've never played that before. Which gaming system do you have? I have Xbox and PS4. I've got the PS4. I have the Switch as well, which I got for Zelda. And I also game on the PC. Remember Mario on Nintendo 64 when you got to that last level with the whale? I never had a Nintendo 64. I had a Sega. I used to play Sonic the Hedgehog on Sega. I feel like I'm 100 years old. Did any one of you guys have a Sega as well? Sonic the Hedgehog and Crash Bandicoot. Crash is the best, but so frustrating. My friend Kung lent it to me on Switch, and I wanted to throw my Switch out the window. Crash Bandicoot is so hard. I didn't know you were still alive. Well, we're talking about games now, so I kind of like don't want to leave. Oh, Aladdin was on Sega? I didn't know that. I'm trying to think what other games there were on Sega. There was something else that I used to play, but I can't remember what it was called. Call of Duty Black Ops. You played Sonic on Sega as well. Super Smash Brothers. I also used to play The Sims a lot when I was a kid. The Sims 1 was the best. I don't know if you guys are Sims fans, but me and my sister used to play it all the time, and she always brings up this funny thing that happened where we were like trying to get creative with like the houses we were building, and we made like a straw house. So like the wallpaper was like bamboo and the roof was like that straw texture thing. And we were like so excited to start playing, and when we pressed play, the whole thing just set on fire. It was ridiculous. She still brings that up today. That happened like 12 years ago. Longer. Are you still loyal to Canon? Sony is a dangling temptation in front of my face lately. Yeah, you know what? I really love both cameras, the Canon 5D series and the Sony a7 III. I feel like they both have pros and cons. I feel like Sony is better for low light and it's better for video. So the a7 III is going to come in really handy when we're traveling in Colorado. I really want to vlog with it and take photos with it. Whereas the Canon, I am really used to the way it works. So I like using it for my portrait photo shoots. And yeah, but they're both really high quality and they both work really well. But yeah, the Sony is definitely a big temptation. I bit the apple and I got the a7 III. Alex the Kid on Sega. Mega Man, Nintendo 8-bit. Donkey Kong on Super Nintendo was the best. Oh, Dan, what was that other game that you like to play? I can't remember what it was called. I used to play Sims a lot, but I don't know which is which anymore. Yeah, I'm kind of like over the Sims now. I prefer playing like story-based and exploration games. Those are my favorites. Minesweeper on my Nokia. I never, back in the day when dial-up internet was a thing and like your parents had to make a phone call, so you had to get off the internet. I would play all those games that came on the PC, like Minesweeper, which I never understood, Solitaire, and that pinball machine game. The pinball one was the best. Street Fighter, Mario Kart, 007, and Sonic. Thanks for all your answers about my queries, of course. Which console? Oh, Dan, I can't remember. Maybe the Nintendo. Oh, is it Banjo-Kazooie? Yeah, that's the one. Oh my god, pinball. That was so good. Yep, that's the one. When will this, I'm assuming you were going to say editing start. Today's live stream is just like a cull. I mean, I guess we could import some photos into Lightroom. I really want to see what they'll look like. Okay, let's do some Lightroom. Let's do some Lightroom. Desktop. Live stream. Actually, I have to move these. Import. Julia, if you could be any fictional character, who would you be? Probably Lara Croft. Such a nerd. I just feel like she goes on the coolest adventures. It would be so much fun. Except I wouldn't want to like shoot any tigers. That's horrible. But like I definitely want to explore tombs in South America. That would be so much fun. How did you get those natural smile from the model on screen? So this model in particular would just smile, and her smile was great because it looked really natural and real, which was awesome. But otherwise, I usually get smiles just by talking to my model throughout the photo shoot and like just making like either sarcastic remarks or like something funny or just trying to get them to laugh every now and then. Yeah, so I think it really depends like who you're taking photos of, that like you have to like change your technique on how to get them to smile. Which photo should we edit first? This one. There's one of these that I really liked. This one. Maybe I should like full screen. Yes. There we go. Tombs with deadly booby traps. Yes. The other thing I don't want to experience as Lara Croft are piranhas because they're terrifying. Who would survive longer in a tomb, Rita, tomb, you or Dan? Probably Dan. I'm not that agile or fit. I want to be Brandon Fraser from The Mummy. Oh, The Mummy is the best. The other day there was a thunderstorm, so we had to like turn off everything in the office because we didn't want anything to break. And I opened up my laptop and The Mummy was just added to Netflix. So I ended up rewatching it. Such a good movie. Right. These photos are very like cold in temperature. I don't know, like what do you guys think of the skin tone? I think it looks perfect. Like I don't really have an issue with it. An issue. So you use Photo Mechanic, then import into Lightroom. Yep. This Photo Mechanic is just so fast to select photos with. I feel like I should also do like a more contrasty, punchy edit. I feel like you guys really like that kind of editing, I noticed. So maybe we should do that. Ends up with a vintage edit. Hi Julia from Honduras, Central America. Hello. Welcome to the live stream. Dan, you should do YouTube too. How do you feel about the hand and foot being cut off in the image up now? Personally, I like cropping off little parts of my image, especially like feet. I feel like if every single photo had the entire foot in the shot, I feel like composition would look the same across a variety of photos. So I do like cropping off little bits here and there. I do have rules when it comes to cropping, which I've mentioned before. I either crop just above the knee. I never crop at like a joint because I feel like that looks a little bit weird. So I wouldn't crop off like at the wrist or at the elbow or at the ankles. But I feel like cropping off like a foot is okay. I don't know. I just feel like shots would all look kind of exactly the same if everything was in the frame. Have you ever photographed a celebrity? No, I have not. But you just treat them the same as everyone else, in my opinion. Just be polite. And just, yeah, give them the same instructions that you would anyone else, depending on like how they are in front of the camera. I feel like you can save so much in a Sony photo. It's crazy. I feel like the greens are too vibrant. Oh my gosh, I'm starving. What time is it? It's like 1:20. I feel like I want sushi. Dan, would you take me to sushi? Hi everyone! In today's video, I want to talk to you about something. That's like, I guess that's turned into my intro, hasn't it? Why don't you have a logo in photo? I don't really like using watermarks. One time I photographed a celebrity and she emailed me telling me to take down a photo because she didn't like how she looked in it. I mean, that's fair enough. I get a lot of clients that sometimes don't want their photos shared, and everyone's got like their own reasoning as well. I feel like, yeah, actually that is something that would happen with photographing a celebrity, is that I guess everyone will have different like whether they want the photo up or not. These photos are giving me 70s vintage vibes and I'm loving it. Yes, thank you. What software do you use again? I use Photo Mechanic to select my images. I use Lightroom to do color post-processing, and I use Photoshop to do retouching. How can I get back into photography to find inspiration? I feel like just going out there and taking photos with your camera is the best thing you could do, in my opinion. Yeah, if I like am stuck on inspiration for a portrait photo shoot, I would try and take photos of something that's the complete opposite. So I would go to my local park and take some landscape photos, or I would go to the city and try and take like street photography, you know, just to like get your creativity going. I don't know why. I love green shadows. It's like my favorite thing. Do you use Unsplash? No, I don't know what that is actually. What is that? And yeah, that's a good idea actually, taking photos of your friends as well, and taking self-portraits is good as well because there's like no pressure that way. If you're like, yeah, like feeling rusty and you really want to try and get back into it. The water bottle's so big it like covers my whole face. I love how your models sometimes have sunlight shadows on their face. I can't get over being scared to shoot like that. Does it ever bother you? How can I learn? It is. It's scary for me as well. Like I really have to think about it before the photo shoot and just convince myself to go and do it, because like otherwise I love shooting either backlit is my favorite, or I will shoot harsh lit, and I won't really do anything in the middle. So for this photo shoot is one of those instances where I was like, I'm just gonna do like a little bit of dappled light and not worry too much about the shot being like perfect, because I wanted this photo shoot to look a little bit more like realistic, like almost like you're hanging out and it's just like a little snapshot at the location. So it is a little bit daunting sometimes, and it's hard to 100% know if it's going to work or not, because like sometimes straight out of the camera dappled light doesn't look that amazing. But yeah, I would recommend to just do it little by little. So if you do a photo shoot and you like doing backlight, do backlight the majority of the time, but pick one or two locations or instances where you're like, okay, let's take a couple of dappled light photos, and then that way you still have the majority of the photo shoot, which is great, and then you've got a couple where you're branching out and trying like something different. I've edited it so like pink. I think that's because of the split toning here. Yeah. What are your thoughts on redoing shoots? If your client company is unsatisfied or if you feel like it came out dull, how tricky are redos? I've personally never had to redo a photo shoot, luckily. I feel like that would be fairly tricky to do. So I do try and, as I said, have as much communication as possible before the photo shoot with the client to make sure both of you are super clear on like what the aim of the photo shoot is, to make sure they're as happy as possible. What's your photography goals for this year, and how do you manage to work and manage your business on all platforms? So my goal for this year was my YouTube channel, which I'm like so happy with how that's going. I love making videos so much and I feel like it's going pretty well. So yeah, that was my goal, was to get my channel like up and going, because we started posting regularly in January this year. So that's been a really fun experience. And then I guess other photography goals was I really wanted to try shooting on different cameras and lenses, which I've definitely been doing. And how do you manage to work in your business on all platforms? I do a little bit of work on different things every day. So if you guys don't know, I have a wedding photography business where Dan and I do wedding photo and video. I've got my Lightroom presets, the YouTube channel, and I've got my personal photography business as well. So I basically just dedicate different parts of the day to those businesses. Try Fuji cameras. Yeah, I would love to. I mean, it would be cool if some of these brands can send me cameras, even just to borrow, so I can like try them out and make videos about them. That would be awesome. But like the Sigma video that I'm going to release, I just hired the lens like with my own money. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing that Dan mentioned is make sure the client is happy on the day. So like show them the photos on the back of the camera and make sure you get some honest feedback. And if you are questioning anything on the day, if you're like, oh, is the location like good enough? You should definitely voice those questions and opinions to your client as well, because you never know, like the client might feel nervous to be honest. So if you bring it up, they might be like, oh, actually, yeah, maybe we could change this or that. I think you should do a crop sensor camera video. Yeah, I would really like to do that actually. There are so many things I want to do. All right, you guys, I think I'm going to end the live stream. I think we've been streaming for 2 hours. I hope you enjoyed seeing like all the raw, unedited photos from the photo shoot. I think it was really fun selecting photos with you guys today. Thanks so much. Go and get sushi. Yes, I'm so hungry. I really, really want sushi. Thanks for showing your process and answering questions. Appreciate it. Sushi time. Bye. I came too late, but at least I learned a few things. Well, this live stream will be available on my YouTube channel for you guys to watch for anyone who missed the beginning or anything like that. I think today was such a good live stream. I loved streaming at this time. There's so many of you like online, which is great. I always feel bad when a lot of people miss out on the live streams. So yeah, it was really cool to like hang out with you all and talk with you guys. This is always a lot of fun. But yeah, I probably won't be able to live stream for at least 3 weeks because we're going overseas to Colorado next week, and we'll be there for 2 weeks. And then when we get back, I'm going to have a lot of videos and photos to edit. Yes, and travel vlogs. I'll definitely be filming a few travel vlogs while we're there. So yeah, live stream will probably happen maybe like 4-ish weeks when we get back. If you need a model for a mountain shoot or Denver shoot, let me know. Yeah, if you guys are any creatives, models, makeup artists, stylists from Denver or Colorado, please email me or Instagram message me, because I would love to do a shoot while I'm there. I would love that. Glad to have you on. Finally caught you this time. Yeah, I finally just live streamed at a different time. We want more film photography with different rolls of film. Yeah, that's also something I'm definitely working on. Dan's like doing some work out in the other room. He'll come on the next live stream. But he was in the chat answering like a bunch of your questions and stuff. Thanks, Dan. Sounds good. My wife is especially gorgeous. All right. Well, as always, ooh. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching, everyone, and for being part of the chat. Thank you for all the super chats. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, it's going to be a fun next few weeks of videos where I'll be sharing the photo shoots I did with the Sigma 85 and a few other cool videos as well. But yeah, have an awesome morning, afternoon, night, wherever you guys are, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.